everybody, Kevin here for WranglerForum.com. Just moved the Jeep outside because we need the space in the garage to prep our next install. And what we're going to be doing is replacing these stock ruby rails with something better. Come on inside and I'll show you what it is. So in these three boxes are what we're going to install today. These are from Metal Cloak, and this is their Overland Rocker kit. And the thing that's kind of cool about this is it has a reversible step. You can either have it come straight out from the Jeep or angled down to work as a step, which is great in my case because I'm short and there's a lot of short people in my house who ride in the Jeep. So first thing we need to do is get these out of the boxes. They are bare metal, so I need to paint them up, and then we can start the rest of the install. So let me get these boxes undone. This is the main rocker section, and then the step attaches on this side. You can see it has some additional underbody protection as well, and they've got it all welded in here and around. Got this whole substructure in there as well. Pretty beefy. Before we get to painting, of course, we need to prep it, and you want to clean this. There's a number of different cleaners out there you can do for metal prep before you paint. Certainly do that. Be careful disposing those rags as well. Depending on what you're using, they can become flammable. Once we get this cleaned up and prepped, then we'll go ahead and shoot some paint on it. It is really hot here today. Humidity's way up, so it's probably going to take several hours for the paint to dry. While we're doing that, of course, we can go ahead and take off these stock ruby rails. So let me put this down, go get some prep cleaner, and we'll get started on it. For painting, just go ahead and do straight lines in one direction, and then come back and fill in. It's always best to do several thinner coats than one big thick coat on these. I think overall they turned out pretty good, as you can see here. Used a semi-gloss paint on these to give them a little bit of a sheen. And we are about ready to mount everything. As I mentioned before, I need to take the stock Rubicon rails off. Just a couple of bolts, a 13mm, and then the 10mm is the smaller one. Once the hardware's out of the way, the rail will come right off. Once that's done, you'll need to remove some of the stock hardware per the directions, as well as this backside nut. Once you go ahead and get that cut off, you can then go ahead and drill the remaining 3/8 holes in this location as well as a few others per the directions. And then you can go ahead and test fit the rocker, making sure everything lines up properly with the holes you just drilled. On the bottom of the Jeep, you'll need to enlarge some existing holes as well as make some new ones. A punch can certainly come in handy for this. Just go ahead and mark it. And then you can go ahead and drill by using a smaller bit to make a pilot hole, and of course move on to the larger size bit. We are now ready to go ahead and install the provided rivet nut. Insert in, we've got the lock washer, the bolt, and then of course the nut. We're going to just tighten this down to where it becomes snug, just like that. And then we're going to use two wrenches, or box end and then a regular ratchet wrench. We're going to use a 11/16 here to hold it in place, and then we'll use the ratchet to tighten this down. When we tighten this down, it's going to go ahead and force the rivet nut to expand and compress, and that will lock that in place. So let's see how this goes. This way. I believe we're good there. That's tightened down. Now we'll just go ahead and remove this, and we should be good. There you go. Everything's set and good. Once the rivet nuts are all installed, you can put the rocker back in place and begin to tighten down all of the other bolts. So once you have the main rocker section attached, you can then go ahead and bolt on the side step. I have it currently in the flat position right now. This is really helpful if you need to go ahead and use it as a pivot point, say if you're in the rocks and you need to go ahead and have something to brace up against here. Maybe you're in an off-camber situation, it's kind of pushing you towards something like a wall or something like that. You can use it as a brace to keep off of that type of obstacle. Let me go ahead and switch this out, and I'll show you what it looks like in the step position. So there's the final one there. You can see the step comes right off. And we're just going to flip it around and upside down here. You can also run this without the step and just use this as rocker protection. At this point, I've got everything cleaned up pretty good, and I've got one bolt holding it in here, and I'm still using the jack to help support. At this point, all you have to do is just kind of screw in these other bolts. Line it up. Again, you just want to go finger tight with these for right now to get them all in. Because you might have to adjust it up, down, right, left, a little bit, that kind of deal. They do go in pretty easy, and again, as I said, they do include some anti-seize. There we go. Right here in this bag. That makes them getting in and out a little bit easier. Of course, with the step in the lower configuration, it does make it easier to get in and out of the Jeep. Went ahead and asked for a volunteer from my family to demonstrate this in the lowered position here, and then in the standard position. Of course, had a chance to get these out on the trail through various different terrains. I was especially happy with them in the rocky sections of the trail where things were hitting underneath the Jeep or on the side of the Jeep. Overall, I think these are a definite improvement over the stock Rubicon rails. You really have three products in one. You've got just a rocker guard, you've got a traditional side step, and then you've got the flip step, which angles down and allows you to get into the Jeep easier. So overall, definitely like them. Definitely consider it if it's something you're thinking about upgrading on your own Wrangler.